Let's talk about Star Wars! Ah, my ears! And what makes up that universe. Let's see, you got your lightsaber, X-Wing, TIE Fighter, Darth Vader, spaceships, planets, Death Star, the Force. Add all of these up together and you get Star Wars. From this deduction, you can say that Star Wars is a pretty limited universe.
But Grandpa, how can you say that? There's a ton of things that make up the Star Wars franchise than just those.
While that may be true, trying to have a Star Wars movie without lightsabers, the Force, or stormtroopers, it just becomes another run-of-the-mill sci-fi story. There's not a whole lot to it, which is fine because the characters are what ultimately make it up. Unlike my ex-wife who had no character at all, but ching. Anyways, the universe is the clothesline, and the characters should be what hang off of that clothesline. The universe is an integral part of a story, but not all there is. Take out all of those Star Wars ingredients, and it's no longer Star Wars. The same goes with Zelda being a limited universe. There is a hero clad in green who must save the princess from the evil guy and get some golden Rice Krispies in the end. Sorry to make you sad, kids, but that's your beloved childhood and franchise boiled down to what it truly is. And that is not always a bad thing to make a story so simple. Going back to what I originally stated, that Zelda is essentially a classic story that everyone can connect with. So what do you do when you have a limited universe and want to keep it fresh? You sprinkle more stuff on top of the already existing franchise. This is where Rogue One and Breath of the Wild comes in.
But Grandpa, I thought that we were going to talk about how to make Zelda into a good movie. I don't want to talk about Rogue One.
Listen here, Billy. Even though your parents dropped you off here with dear old Grandpa, doesn't mean I'm going to acknowledge your existence. So just shut up and show me which channel is the Netflix on. Now, I'm sure millennials went to the theater this past year to see Rogue One, a Star Wars story. It received not so great reviews compared to The Force Awakens. The general consensus stating that it was the greatest Star Wars fan film ever made. Why? Well, it had all the things I mentioned earlier in the film, but no new characters or moments that were really memorable. It becomes a pain in the assholes when you're watching gold flakes sprinkled on top of shit. It just does not work. So wait, you ask, how did this tie into my pills that I forgot to take and now Sorry about that. Ever since my family left here, these young ladies in short skirts keep force-feeding me little red M&Ms. They don't taste like them, though. Anywho, let's now talk about Breath of the Wild. I know I'm comparing a video game to a movie, but the same principle applies. Breath of the Wild has a good chunk of Zelda tropes in it, but just enough new things to make it fresh and exciting. Where Rogue One falls flat with its brand new source material, Breath of the Wild soars. It isn't dangling shiny keys in front of us to get a reaction since we're familiar with them. It trusts and believes in its own new material that it will hold the story together, which brings me to Zelda's lack of material is its greatest strength and weakness. Because there is only a handful of things that make up Zelda, just like the Star Wars universe, creative expression would be extremely easy. There are so many directions we can go with this franchise. Just look at all the other directions these games have gone into. Hell, even Breath of the Wild derailed off the Zelda track, but people still accepted it as a part of the franchise. Either the creative choices made for the film will be one that will enrich the story, or not add anything to the franchise at all. This video game franchise already gives a free pass of going any direction it wants to. We can have creative freedom with the franchise as long as we have the basic ingredients still there. Now this is where it can get very tricky, young ones. We are riding a fine line between a Breath of the Wild type movie or Rogue One movie. On the one hand, we could have a team who adds to the source material and make it a brand new Zelda. Or one where the characters are uninteresting and the only memorable parts are the parts we are already familiar with.